Well, I decided to take the plunge. The Xvive U4 IEM inner monitoring wireless system. I'm eating the Sweetwater candy right now, as you can tell. And we're gonna give this a try this weekend. Real world, out with my band. I also have the wireless mic adapter, the U3 or whatever it's called. And there's a review of that here on my channel as well. I really liked it. It worked well. It's not been a big problem with my bands. Now, when we try to use two of those systems together, we had problems. I don't know if it was a one-off problem or whatever, but my bass player and I both use 2.4 line 6 wirelesses. And we're running a wireless network off our Studio Live board. So that's a lot of Wi-Fi, 2.4 stuff going on along with this. So we'll see how this goes. It could be kind of crazy to have this in my ears and not have, you know, very good results. But I'm gonna try to do it in sound check, not during the show. So I'll let you know. Here we go. Okay, I just pulled it out of the box, and I gotta say, this thing is tiny, 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 tiny. I mean, look at that, next to my hand. That is a tiny receiver. And that is amazing. You can stick that easily on your guitar strap or wherever, and it will be so tiny. Amazing. I hope this thing works awesome. The other components, you've got your adapter from XLR quarter. You have your dual USB charger, so it charges with both units with two connectors off one USB cable, which is exactly how the wireless for the mic works too. It's really cool. I like that part. It's got a good manual and some other stuff this time, which I don't think my other one had, my U3. And I always carry it in the case that it comes in my box. So I carry this in a briefcase and I pack it that way and then make sure it's charged before gigs, and that's it. Okay, here we go. Xvive U4, I think it's called. All right, we're gonna give it a shot this set and see what happens. I'm gonna videotape this set so you can see if I'm in hell or not. I'm out here in the garage doing a final test on the U4 in-ear wireless system. You can see right here I've got the receiver sitting out here on a cable connected to the board over here on the aux. And I'm listening to a virtual sound check of tonight's practice. Now, we use electronic drums tonight, and I'm listening to the mixes back through like I'd be listening to them in ears, without having to play guitar and do it at the same time. So what I'm kind of figuring out is it's really clean. It reminds me of when I first got a digital board. It's a little, there's not much color to it, so you might have to EQ a little bit if you need to get a certain tone out of it. But overall, I really like it. It's for the money, it's ridiculous. Especially a great starting in-ear wireless. The pack, got it on my butt right now. There it is, tiny, awesome. The only thing that you got to worry about is if you get in a 2.4 heavy situation. One of the things that I noticed, let me turn this off. One of the things I noticed was that by taking the receiver and putting it out here, like away from my mixer, so just anywhere around away from the mixer on a cable, seemed to really clean up the first time versus the second trial on it when I tried it live. And the first time it was a little garbly, and it was connected straight into the board without any cable, because you can use that end and stick it right in the aux send on a balanced output. And I have a wireless router in there, and of course all of the RF that's coming out of this rack, which is just a ton of stuff, probably was causing that. So I decided to put on a wire and get it away from my rack, and that totally cleaned it up. In fact, the room we were in that night is terrible with our analog in-ears. I use a Sennheiser G3, $1,000 wireless, and the interference in this room with RF is just awful. And then I use this digital 2.4, which, you know, you'd think with all of the interference that comes with 2.4, you'd have problems. I didn't have any problems. It was totally clear. As long as I had that thing away from my board, I had none of the RF I had from my analog system. So that was great. The only thing I'm having trouble with the U4 is just kind of getting my mix set and it not feeling a little harsh on my ears. I think I can null that out with EQ or just level maybe. But I just wanted to give you a quick review and finish this review up on this U4 Xvive IEM wireless. I definitely think for the money, it's a great first IEM. It's better than nothing, and it's way, you know, not better than a cable, but it's better than a cable because you can move around. And it sounds really clean. So I think it's worth trying. It's definitely something that if I didn't ever have one, this would be killer. You know, I would think this is awesome. My Sennheiser, of course, has got me a little spoiled because it's, you know, $1,000 wireless, but for $200 and whatever it is, $230, if you haven't done this before, you haven't done IEM, this is definitely a good way to start. It's super clean. It sounds really good. And I would definitely recommend it to give it a shot. And remember, it's in 2.4. So if you got a lot of stuff in 2.4, or if you're in a club that's got a lot of 2.4 going on, you know, it's got a lot of channels on it, but still could be a problem. And it's a different kind of problem than an analog problem. So it's more of a garbly sound versus a whistly interference, like a radio interference. So, you know, they all have their problems, but for the money, so far so good with this. I would recommend it highly for somebody who's just getting into IEMs, and you know, make sure you get that mix and work that mix really hard until you get it, until you like it, and then I think it really work out. I'm going to keep using it and keep experimenting with it, and I may do a follow-up video later, maybe a short video, but for now I'm just going to put this video up and tell you that I recommend it. Rock on. Thing on the IEM U4 from Xvive. One of the things I noticed was that I set the setting on the it'd be on the transmitter at the, well, to the connection on the board. I set it to line level initially because I have both kind of outputs on my board, but I was in a mic level output when I was testing it this last time, and I switched to mic level. And magically, it got really good and actually better than it was before. So play around with those output levels on the transmitter and make sure that it matches up to your gear, your board, and that you get the best results, because it made a huge difference for me to be on that mic level output. It gave me a lot more output, of course. And it wasn't like it blew my ears out or anything, but it definitely sounded better, and it was louder, and sometimes the volume really helps you get a better mix. I mean, you have to have it at a certain level for it to sound good. So make sure you mess around with that. Otherwise, I thought it was fantastic in the end, and I totally recommend it, especially if you're just getting into IEMs. You know, they're awesome. So rock on.